Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Mic. As we do every Monday here in Hockeytown at our wonderful MusicTown studios in downtown Detroit. We are live from downtown Detroit. I love saying that one. So, as I do every week, I bring some guests into the studio and we sit down and talk and we hear some music and just find out about all these local gems that we have in this area. And today's gem is Jeff Scott. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Pam Rossi. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Welcome to our MusicTown
This
here.
is very cool.
Isn't this cool?
This is great. Yeah.
Well, thanks to our sponsors. We have Michigan State University Community School of Detroit and Children's Hospital of Michigan Foundation that we can do this each and every week, and so many other activities we do here with music. So welcome.
Thank
you have Tony with you today. Hi,
Tony Jaworski with me today. Amazing keyboard player. Has worked with me a lot, and as well as lots of other people. So happy to have him here helping us out today.
Good. Welcome.
Thank you.
So he's ready with the keyboard. Jeff's ready with the guitar.
Sure.
But let's talk first.
Excellent. Excellent.
Let's just relax a minute and just
ease into it.
Find out what the hell you've been up to lately, Jeff.
Wow.
No, just kidding.
You want the whole catch-up, huh? Excuse me. Yeah.
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, you have quite an interesting story, as you know we've talked about before. But
Sure.
I know we have a lot of new listeners, and so I just want to share some of that with everybody out there. And first of all, you did this. Well, you started very early age.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Was it 8?
That's
years
right.
Old?
I was 8 years old. Yeah.
Started writing and playing guitar at 8.
Yeah.
What made you pick up the guitar and start playing?
I was a lonely little boy,
Oh.
Pam, and I needed an outlet, So it was my parents' way, because I would stay in my room reading, and it was my parents' way of giving me something to get me out of my bedroom reading. And it was great, because it was, I took to it very naturally. It was a great outlet for me, and I guess I found out it must have been 9 or 10 that I could sing too.
Okay.
So by the time I was 12, I actually had a band.
So not too many 12-year-olds can say they have a band.
Not anymore, that's for sure.
Although with the internet now, a lot of kids pretend they have a band. Put up something on YouTube. But
there's a funny story. I came home. We got a gig. I was 12 years old. I think we got a gig at a Cub Scout blue and gold banquet at the school. This was our gig, and I came home.
A gig's a gig, right?
And we had been rehearsing at my buddy Jeff Briggs's house. He was the drummer, and I came home and I said, "Hey, Mom, Dad, sisters, I have a gig." What are you talking about? I have a band. No, you don't. So that was the start of it. At 12 years old, the blue and gold banquet.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then I convinced them I actually played music and had a band.
Did you get paid for that gig?
We did.
Oh.
Yeah,
So it was legit.
It was legit.
You were legal. Okay.
Yeah, and then into high school, I had a pretty popular local band called Nimbus.
Nimbus, yeah. Strange name.
Strange name.
Does that mean something?
Well, it was between Nimbus and Union Pacific for some reason, from what I remember.
Did you just kind of pull those out of the air?
Yeah, I don't know. We were teenagers, and it was a strange time. But it turned into a cool band because some seniors had a band. I think the name of the band was Shadowfax, and it was a big horn band, big horn section. And they were doing Chicago tunes and Tower of Power and who else would have been? Blood, Sweat, and Tears and stuff like that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Got to have horns for those.
They sort of gifted all the charts to us. Oh. So we put another horn section together and added an organ player, big B3 organ with a Leslie speaker and stuff, and we started doing lots of gigs, like every weekend. And
you're at this point how old still?
I would have been
high
16
school,
or 17.
15, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it, that was a ton of fun, and we played some great music.
Did you at that point? I mean, most kids in high school aren't thinking about, what am I going to do when I get out of here? Maybe college and figure it out, whatever. But at that point, did you say, "This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life"? Do you remember?
I wanted to. I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know how to do that. And I was also getting pretty serious about writing, fiction writing and stuff like that. So and then I got into photography. And so my big thought was, well, let me focus on the music. I tried to get into music school. At that point, I was writing stuff for small orchestra groups. I taught myself how to do that, and
Taught yourself?
yeah. So the
Wow.
feedback I was getting from the serious music schools like Eastman School of Music in New York and stuff, and they would write me back and say, "Thanks for wanting to be here. We think you would have a much better career in Hollywood." Because they thought the music I was writing was not serious enough, that it was
Really?
pretty cinematic or something,
But that didn't deter you, did it?
It didn't. No, I ended up going to college for a couple of years and was playing music on the side.
Okay.
And I'd gone to Oakland U for 2 years, and then I met. I was actually teaching guitar at a music store at the end of that second year, and I met a guy named Jeff Bean that we were very compatible in terms of our music. So I took a year off school, and we played music at a bunch of restaurants that were all owned by the same owner. So it was great money, and we had a great time, and we played in multiple states and toured around. And when the year ended, the promise that I had to make my mom was, no, I'll do it for a year and then I'll go back to school. So then I transferred to the University of Michigan, and
Can't break the promise to mom.
can't
Okay.
break. It's very funny. She distrusted Jeff for quite a while.
Oh.
She's like, well, that boy is going to make you go astray. Seriously. And he did. He's still my friend to this day. We were very close friends. So anyway, went to Michigan and didn't play music very much. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do it, but when I got out, I took a job in advertising because of my writing.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
started to get more serious about the music, and ended up in the late 80s, I put a band together with a guy named Dwayne Harlick.
Yeah.
We ended up putting this great band together called The Big Picture.
Big picture.
And had a lot of success and won a big national contest that Marlboro was sponsored. Was when cigarette companies could actually sponsor things.
Then what year was that?
That would have been 90.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's pretty good. That was a huge talent contest,
It
if
was
you want to
huge.
call it that. So then did you take the top prize?
we
or?
did.
Okay.
We did. There ended up being 5 regional, semifinalists, and we all went down to Nashville and competed in a live performance.
Oh.
And walked away with that. It was great money. They hooked us up with a booking agency out of New York, and we ended up doing a lot of opening act stuff. And
That's when you were opening up for Hall & Oates and
Yep.
Eddie Money and the
Yeah.
big names.
Big names.
Big names.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
big stages, big names. I think we were. I was reminiscing with one of the guys who was in the band during the summer, and when we opened for Hall & Oates, it was up at Michigan State. It was that outdoor festival they had.
Okay.
We had never seen anything like it. It was like 40,000 people, 30,000 people.
Wow.
So big, in fact, that they had to have relay speakers, midway into the crowd, because otherwise there would have been this huge delay.
Yeah.
Right, sound-wise, because
Wow.
it would have looked like everything was
Yeah.
10 milliseconds behind.
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. So
That's exciting.
yeah, it was really, really exciting. And what brought The Big Picture to an end was I was going through some personal stuff, and then I started writing stuff that wasn't really in the genre that group did. So I was trying to find some outlets for that.
Yeah.
And then I ended up walking away from it.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So hold that thought.
Will do.
Because that is huge. And how about we go to a song? And
That would be great.
that would take a moment here. And
So I'm working on a new album.
okay.
And I had hoped to get it out this fall, and that didn't happen. So it's going to be out in the spring. And the title of the album is From NOLA to New York. And those 2 songs bookend this collection of tunes. Pretty different. My approach to this stuff has really evolved, and I'm going back into the pop jazz stuff that I started out on and doing in the 90s. So this
Okay.
is NOLA. This is the first of 2 title tunes.
All right.
So.
Nola.
waiting out the rain and easy again. Just another ghost passing through, standing on a corner out in Jackson Square, searching for a trace of you. And I think I see you, but it's just a mist dancing with the lights. Well, I know I'm dreaming, maybe make-believing. Nola, you're with me tonight. Back on Bourbon feet on the street again, just another face in a crowd. Even Mr. Priest says, boy, let it go. Ain't nothing gonna kill me now. And I think I see you, but it's just a mist dancing with the lights. Well, I know I'm dreaming, maybe make-believing. Nola, you're with me tonight. Midnight's here again, never end. Down and out in the quarter, and I'm fading fast. Never thought I'd be so alone. Storm on the horizon, hope it's gonna pass. I won't find my way back home, and I think I feel you, but it's just a mist dancing with the lights. Well, I know I'm dreaming, maybe make-believing. Nola, you're with me tonight. Na na na, Nola, you're with me tonight. Na na na, Nola, you're with me. Oh, Nola, you're with me tonight. Na na na, no, you're with me tonight. Whoa, tonight, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah.
Nola,
Nola.
one of the title tracks
Yes, it is. Yeah.
for the upcoming, in the spring, you said?
In the spring, yeah.
So sometimes when they say it's going to be the fall and things happen, it just keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah,
but-
that's right. That's right. Early
That's okay.
spring. We'll
That's
call
all
it
right.
that. Right?
Well, let's go back because as you started to touch on, you were at the top of your game. You're opening up for all these big artists. You've got booking agent. You just won this big contest. I mean, you're on top of your game, and then you decide to quit. Is that the right word, or should I not say that?
No, I quit.
You
Yeah,
quit. Okay.
I quit.
Just I let you say that. What happened?
Well, my career was in advertising was heating up.
Okay.
And then I was also going through some personal problems, and I had to eliminate something, and unfortunately that's what I chose. I thought initially that I'd maybe take a year off, and that didn't happen.
It was more like 20?
It was close to
7?
20. It was 17 years,
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
went
17
by.
years.
Yeah.
Still, that's a
And-
long time.
Yeah.
You had to miss it. No?
I don't know whether I did or not.
Okay.
I found out how much I missed it when I got back into it.
Okay.
And you find out that, boy, I shouldn't have done that because it probably weirdly inhibited my growth as a human being somehow, because I got so into the corporate thing. And but I did find my way back to it, which is just
What
been
was
huge
it
for
that
me.
got you back into it? There must have been something.
Yeah, I owe it, seriously, I owe it to one person. And I had gone out to see a really good friend of mine named Jennifer Christensen, who's helped me out with a lot of recordings, and she's having some great success now too. It's great to see that. But I went out to see her perform one night with a guy named Mark Heckert. And Mark is a well-known musician in town. He also owns a studio, and he was accompanying her. And she had me sit in. So I sang a tune, and he came over at the break and said, "Look, I don't know you." And he said, "But if you can sing like that and you're not doing it, you're an idiot."
Shame on you?
Shame on me. And he actually called me an idiot. I didn't know this guy from a hole in the wall, you know. I was like, he's like,
Well, sometimes you need those harsh
and it
words,
was really a kind of psychic kick in the pants, man. And he goes, "Look, I've got the studio. I know you're right, and I know you've written. Jen's told me that. So come into the studio, and I'll record some stuff. We'll just mess around."
Okay.
So he, this very gracious invitation, and I went in. I don't know, it probably was 2-3 weeks later. I actually took him up on the offer, and I went in, and I was horrible. I couldn't play guitar, and
Did you, question,
Sure.
when you say that, did you have reservations about doing that? I mean, some people would have jumped right on it, and you waited a couple weeks? Was it?
I
was
was.
that-
This sounds arrogant, and I don't mean it to sound that way. But I was used to doing stuff at a certain level,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew enough about how rusty I had gotten that I was worried about it.
Okay.
I thought, well, he thinks I'm okay, and I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to really not be very good at all.
You didn't have your confidence back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and but I went, and it was clunky, and he was encouraging, and it became, it's the start of a relationship now. It's almost 10 years old now, and Mark, he's recorded all my stuff, and he now functions as he does all the orchestrations on the albums and writes them and performs them. I'm working with these guys as well on the rhythm section stuff. And we have a really lovely relationship. He gets what I'm trying to do, and he respects the music, and I respect his point of view about the music. So,
You need, sometimes someone else sees it before you do, and you need, someone will do the old kick in the butt and get
Yeah.
you where you should be.
yeah.
And thank goodness.
And the great thing about it was I finally decided, well, I'm going to do an album, and there was a lot of developments between that first time going to his studio, and actually I think it was probably a year later. But I started going out to Nashville a lot, and then stopped because I realized, no, you're still not very good, and you need to come back and woodshed and really work on it and work on the tunes. And but then, after about a year, I started working on an album. I thought, well, I'm going to do an album. I've got all these new tunes,
And that'll kind of force you
Yeah.
to do what you need to do.
yeah. So we started working on the album, and there came. This is how life has a way of working out. There came a point in the album where I said, "Man, I really need Dwayne on this album." And we hadn't talked in a long, 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 long time. And I hesitated, and I finally was like, I got to call Dwayne. So I called Dwayne. He's like, "Yeah, what time you want me there?" I'm talking like a decade had passed since we really had hung out.
Well, he never stopped playing.
No,
right?
no. He kept playing. He's had quite a nice.
He was ready to just jump right in, yeah.
Career, locally, and I think Dwayne picked up like he was nominated last year for 5 Detroit Music Awards last year. So yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." Okay. And then he showed up, and he started to play on the tune, and I was like, "Man, this is."
Did you feel like all of a sudden it was the big picture again?
No, to be honest, but
Maybe that's a good thing.
there are certain people you play with that you want to hear them play.
Uh-huh.
You're as big a fan of theirs as you are a collaborator of theirs, And Dwayne was very much like that, and has remained that. So he ended up contributing a lot to that album, and we've worked together on my stuff since then, and I've helped him out a little bit with his projects, and it was a big. it was a big eye opening for me.
Do you think when Dwayne, helped you on this to get you back in, do you think that, brought it up another notch?
Absolutely.
That you felt like, okay, I can do this. This is good. And
Yeah, and we function that way still now. It's now it's is this. So I'll write a new tune and I'll bring it into the studio to work with the guys on, and the judgment is this good enough for these guys?
Oh.
Right, and B, what would Dwayne think of this? So
I'll have to get Dwayne in here too.
You should have
Yeah.
Dwayne in. He's pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing guy. So yeah, the whole level goes up and up and up, and then you've got people making sure that.
It's always, if you have people that you're working with or whatever, and they're just like right above you or just a notch, or even, it pushes you forward. If you go lower, then you don't advance.
Yeah,
I'm not explaining that as well as I'm thinking it in my head, but.
Well, I think of myself primarily as a writer. So, so when you're in that mindset, you're thinking, well, how am I going to bring this to life? And it's helped me a lot because I've always trying to find the right people, and I've been working with the same group of people now for the last what did we decide, Tony?
2010.
2010. So it's been 7
Okay.
years. You always want to know that they're going to be able to pull off what it is you have in your head because you can't pull it off. You write it on guitar, or you write it on piano, and you need to bring the thing to life. So you're looking for the best people possible, So in that way, I've always really played with people better than me. I wanted their abilities to bring the thing to life.
And it probably helps. You find people that get you, and so you might have something in your head, but you're not exactly 100% sure how to get it, out.
Right.
And the people that know you and understand what your whole vibe is with your music, they can pull it out.
Right.
And it's like, well, how about this?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking
That's
for.
exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
You got to have the people that you trust,
Right.
that know what you're what you're looking for and what you want the final product to be.
Yeah.
And they can.
And these guys
bring
are
it.
very sympathetic. They're very empathic and sympathetic to what it is I'm trying to get done at this point. I would think so at this point.
Do you ever find yourself with the guys going, okay, guys, I really don't know what I want here, but I mean, I can kind of hear it, and then they take it over and just get exactly what you want.
Yeah, there's a great example. There's a tune on the new album. It started out as a tune called Invisible Man. It's this real up-tempo thing, and really strange chord changes and stuff. And I think I walked in with, there was a verse set of changes and there was a chorus set, and that was it. And I had the lyrics a quarter written, but I was going to lose these guys because of schedules, so I wanted to get the rhythm track recorded.
Okay.
And I was embarrassed, but I was like, because I usually send them little demos I've done,
right.
and So we go to the studio. Do you remember that session?
I do.
They just killed it. They took it to such a new level, and ultimately, their interpretation of what was going on. I was like, oh, this is even better than I even could have imagined. They really made this something, And the funny thing was, because of the way they played it and what they brought to it, I was listening to them, and I'm totally rewriting all the lyrics in my head. Changed the title of the tune, did the whole thing, and went home and rewrote the whole thing. It's now called Sanctified Man. Because of what they brought.
So,
to it.
So you're thinking, maybe I should do this more often. Just bring a couple little snippets or a few lines and see where they go with it. Is it or not?
It would be ideal if we were all independently wealthy and could sit around a studio,
the key.
Yeah,
the key for musicians.
chasing down every little idea, which is how it gets done sometimes when you actually have a label and stuff like that. So,
I'm going to just throw this out there, just because I know how tough it is for musicians. And again, you. And a good example is you decided to go into the advertising, money and the whole bit.
Right.
But that's the one beauty of this MusicTown is, we support local musicians. If you're not signed, you can record here for nothing.
That's amazing.
Get that out there for all our local musicians out here. This is a great resource, because I know it's tough, for musicians. You got to book the studio time. You got all the musicians and everything. Well, we're helping you out here, guys. So.
Yeah.
Make sure put that out there.
So come cut your next thing at MusicTown Detroit, guys.
Yeah. All right. How about another song, guys?
Sure.
All right.
So as opposed to NOLA,
We're going to New York.
no, we're not going to go to New York today, Pam. I was there a couple weeks ago.
Well, didn't you say the other track was
NOLA to New York.
New York? That's what I meant.
Was it there?
Okay.
So NOLA was an interesting thing because I wrote it after my wife and I had gone down to New Orleans, I guess last September, and I hadn't been there since the Big Picture played there. We had opened for, what's the guy's name? The Neville Brothers.
Oh.
At the New Orleans.
Oh, they're big in New Orleans.
Yeah. So I hadn't been there in decades, right? And my wife and I land, and we go to the hotel, and we drop our stuff off, and we walk down to Jackson Square, and I realize, and then it starts raining, and I realize I'm standing at the exact same place. The weather was exactly the same.
Really?
So,
Deja vu.
Yeah, so we sit down to have lunch, and it's pouring, and I'm watching Jackson Square, and I'm like, God, it wasn't deja vu. It was like I had traveled back in time.
Oh, okay.
You know. So the first two lines of that song came to me, and then they bothered me for weeks. And I thought, I got to do something with this. So that's how that happened.
That's good when a lyric bothers you.
Yeah. So this tune is called "Ain't That the Way," and it's a blues thing that is masquerading as a slightly jazzy tune. But I was home alone one night, and I was like, I want to write a tune, you know, and I'm looking across the table to a bottle of Tito's vodka that's standing there, and just start there. And I think
You never know where inspiration
I know.
comes from.
Well, here, swear to God, and by the morning I had the tune finished.
Oh,
And-
question. Did the looking at the bottle inspired you, or the drinking of some of that, what was in the bottle, inspired you?
Oh, Pam. Let's just put it this way. By the time the morning rolled around, some of the Tito's had been consumed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just ask. Just
Eventually,
curious.
it was talking to me in such a way I had to get up and actually enjoy some of it. So that's how this thing happened. So.
All right.
Here we go. Got a sweet little liter of Tito's, gonna be my friend tonight. Got a case of regret hanging around my neck. It's as deep as it is wide. I got a great big hole in this house now. Baby, up and said goodbye. Gonna put on monk, slip into my funk, lean back and turn out the lights. Ain't that the way when your love is gone? Wasted away, nothing to say when your love is way, when your love is way, when your love is gone. There's a black cat watching my footsteps, waiting to cross my path. And the monkey right there on the rocking chair just wants to hop up on my back. There are 13 steps to my front door. She will never ascend again. I should tear 'em down, put 'em in the ground. Just admit that this is the end. Ain't that the way when your love is gone? Wasted away, nothing to say when your love is way, when your love is way, when your love is gone. She ain't never coming back. That's a cold, hard, simple fact. Another on my list of woulda, coulda, shoulda been. I may leave this town tomorrow. Then again, I may not. just another day of the same old game. Another case of love's labor's lost. Ain't that the way, yeah? The way when your love is gone. Wasted away, nothing to say when your love is away, when your love is away, when your love is gone. Ain't that the way, the way when your love is gone. Wasted away, nothing to say when your love is away, when your love is away, when your love is gone. Ain't that the way? Ain't that the way? Ain't that the way?
Nice.
Thank you.
And this is on the new,
This is on the new
forthcoming,
album.
I should say, the album in the spring.
In the spring.
Yeah.
NOLA to New York.
And you just mentioned your wife. You've just been recently married. Now must have been 3 years now.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Congrats.
lovely
yeah.
Becky. Yeah.
Yes. A
Changed
lot
my
of
life.
changes.
Changed my life. Yeah.
Amazing, huh? You went through this. I mean, it was quite. A lot of people wouldn't just give up, but you came back, which is the important part. And thank
Thanks.
you to Mark and the guys.
Yeah.
That inspired you to do that. During this time that you were on hiatus, we'll call it that. Was there any other time? I mean, wasn't there? Would you go see a concert or something and just like, why am I not doing this right now?
I did go see, so I remained friends with people, and who were musicians, and I'd go see them occasionally. I'd go to concerts. It wasn't connecting for me,
Okay.
Occasionally I'd go to see a concert, and because of what we had gone through with the big picture and the kinds of shows we were doing and stuff, I'd stand there and get very antiseptic about what I was hearing and seeing. You see all this, you see all the craft that's happening, and you can't enjoy the music, But it really wasn't connecting in my brain or my heart that I should be doing that,
Yeah. Well, I would imagine that it probably wasn't if you took 17 years to, because that is a long time, for someone to just, let, most people at that point, they just wouldn't go back in at that point. It's, quite a long time. So,
yeah. It's really nice though. I mean, when I did come back, people were really accepting, so I was really happy about that. They ended up remembering me.
yeah.
That big picture thing was hilarious. I'll be out in public and somebody will be like, "Oh, I used to come see you all the time." I'm like, it was 30 years ago, What are you talking about?
You made a good impression, apparently.
Yeah. That was a cool band, man, with cool songs.
Well,
I
don't think I ever saw you with the big picture that I remember. Let's just say,
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I missed all that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You would have, it was a fun time.
Well, and then, of course, when you came back, you did, was it one CD since you
I've
you
done
got
two,
it?
yeah.
Okay, you got some awards or nominations, I think.
Yeah, that was a nice thing.
For Detroit Music Awards.
So the first album I did, the Begin Again album, which we did in 2009 or 2010, I was really surprised because that was nominated for an award.
Why were you surprised? Come on.
I was surprised that people remembered me, That's what I was surprised about. I thought I was laboring in obscurity, which was fine by me, And then a couple years later, after that, we did The Long Way Home.
Yeah,
and I think that's when we got to know each other.
Yes.
And it was a very that was a very angry album.
Angry, why?
I was just going through a lot of stuff,
Oh,
and and I was also, I think, very sensitive to. There was a couple of tunes on there that were references to the economic meltdown and stuff like that, and I was never explicit about that, but metaphorically, that's what those tunes were about.
That's what good writing is.
Yeah. So, when I started working on this new album, I had been, with these guys, I'd been introducing the new songs. This is funny because this album's been in progress for 2 years now, this new one.
Wow.
We went into the studio in January of 2016 and cut 10 tunes, 10 rhythm tracks and I took the stuff home and listened to rough mixes, and I realized I've got two different albums here. So 5 of the tunes were very much in the vein of the stuff that had been on The Long Way Home, which was very Americana,
Right.
country folk, country pop stuff. And 5 were this new stuff, where because I had purposely gone out and bought a nylon string guitar, which is the kind of guitar I'd started out on, and was revisiting my love for people like Kenny Rankin. I don't know if you remember Kenny Rankin at all. And just started writing very different kinds of songs, and really happy songs, pretty much.
Well, you were in a whole different place
A whole
now.
different place, right. So I was like, I can't release this album. People are just going to be confused. And I met with Dwayne and Dave Hendrickson, who plays bass with everybody, but he also works on my stuff. And I met him at a bar in Royal Oak. I said, guys, here are the 10 tunes, and I think there are 2 albums. Do you see that? And they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I said, well, here's the direction I want to go. The new thing, totally with you, man.
Okay.
So then it was, now I only have 5 tunes.
Oh, I see.
Now I have to write more.
Or an EP. You could have done it as an EP.
Could have done an EP. But, I'm old school, man. You want to do
okay.
that, at least that 10-song thing called an album.
An album, yeah.
Sort of songs that relate to each other. So,
I get it.
so it's taken some time, and I like to play the stuff live and see what kind of reaction it gets before I record it. And although the last couple of tunes on this album, I haven't done that because I haven't played out in over a year. So
So this is your first live?
it is. Pam Rossi, I thought, I cannot turn this down. I cannot.
Glad I could help you.
Yeah. So.
Well, when the new album comes out, you will have to be promoting it and getting it out there. So.
Yeah, so that's the plan. Wait until the spring, book some shows,
Okay.
let people hear the music in its entirety,
Okay.
the album in its entirety.
Well, we'll look forward to that. All right,
Thanks.
time for the Pam exam.
The famous Pam exam. Does Tony get sucked into this too?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Is there a song that inspired you to go into the music business?
Absolutely. Into the music business?
Well,
Into music?
I'm in the field.
Yeah, I was, when I was that age, it was the era of James Taylor. So it had to have been. It really wasn't Fire and Rain. There's another song on, I think, his second album called Blossom.
Blossom. Oh, yeah, you don't hear that one too often.
That
Yeah.
was
That song, huh?
that was the song that got me into it. I was like, man, if somebody can do that with those kinds of lyrics and those kinds of chord changes.
And this is when you were still at 8. You're talking about?
8 or 9 years old. Yeah.
Okay. Not too many 8 or 9-year-olds would listen to a James Taylor and go, okay, this guy knows what he's, I mean,
I know.
That's like
I was a
opposite
precocious little guy. And remember, I'd
Well,
been
good for
spending all
you.
that time alone in my room.
That is
so,
true. That is true.
Yeah. So I had to think about certain things,
Tony, do you have a song?
I used to like all kind of music growing up, so I don't really have one in particular. I just remember finally liking the Meet the Beatles album.
Meet the Beatles.
And that was one
That inspired a lot of people
Yeah.
to go in the business. The Beatles.
Yeah.
I mean that just changed music in a whole
Oh yeah, it is still changing
Still-
music
yeah,
in a certain way.
inspiration for many,
Yeah.
many, many artists. So.
Yep.
What is your most memorable music moment?
I would have to say winning that national talent contest.
Did you get a big trophy or anything?
We got. They gave us all this swag, and they gave us a huge check.
Swag is good.
Swag is good, but it was we
Wait,
were.
the big check, like the big cardboard check.
Yeah, they did that
oh,
thing,
cool.
Then they actually gave us a real check afterwards, but it was like $40,000 or something.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow. And then they start booking us into these opening act things, and we're making money, more money than we'd ever seen in our lives, playing music. That night was just incredible. And I had learned something. This is funny. My brother-in-law and I still talk about this. Years and years ago, 1982, I was actually on Star Search.
Oh, yes. I remember that. With Ed McMahon.
Yeah, with Ed McMahon.
You were on Star Search. I forgot
I
about
was.
that.
And I got my butt just handed to me. I mean, there was a guy named Joey Gian who sounded a lot like Kenny Loggins, and he just killed me. So, but I made a mistake at that thing. And the mistake was when you do the dress rehearsal, when you used to do the dress rehearsal in the afternoon prior to them shooting the show, right? And I gave it my all, and I shouldn't have, because I completely depleted my energy and my motivation. And so by the time I walked out on stage, it just wasn't there. You know? So when we
how much time? I'm sorry. How much?
So this would have been 8 years later.
No.
Oh.
No, I meant between the dress rehearsal and the actual performance.
Like 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So 8 years later, we got the big picture, and we're up for this thing. We go to Nashville, and we go into sound check the day before, because there were 5 bands, right, 5 different regions. And I told the guys, I said before, and they were just doing the sound checks back to back, right? They're getting all their settings, and I told the guys, I said, A, we're not playing one of our tunes. I said, B, don't move a muscle. Don't expend. Let the guy get his levels, and we're getting off the stage.
Okay.
Well, the result of that was, A, you didn't, give it all in a stupid moment, but secondly, the other bands didn't know what we were capable of.
Ah.
So sneaky. So the next day, there we were, and we were pumped. And by the time we hit the stage, our adrenaline we killed. I mean, we just absolutely killed. And it made the difference for us. So that night, it was just an exciting night.
So you learned something, even though you didn't win back there with Star
right,
Search.
right.
You learned something very valuable.
Yeah.
Don't lay out all.
But it's 5 guys. We had worked a long time to get there, and it was just a heck of and the performance, just playing the music. It was all our music.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a great night. Sorry to belabor the story, but
No,
I can still remember the excitement. And
Yeah.
funny thing about it was my mother was my dear late mother passed away this year. She was from West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
She could be really bottom line in a way that my dad never was with me on the music thing. So I called her before the show, the Nashville thing, and I said, "Hey, Mom, I just wanted to say, check in with you." And
Such a good son.
she goes, "Did you win yet?" And I said, "No, we haven't gone on yet." And she goes, "Well, look it." She goes, "You lost Star Search. Don't come home a loser."
Oh my goodness.
And she hung up the phone. I thought, well, I got a job to do here.
Moms know best.
Yeah.
She was playing with your head.
She was. Sure was, man. It was great motivation. It was like, oh, crap,
That's
I can't
funny.
go home. I
That's
can't go to
funny.
Detroit. So,
That's funny. I love it. Tony, do you have a I'm sorry to say mimosa. Oh my God.
I think probably the first show we did with the backup singers and the full production, it was just,
really, man?
it was. It was
Wow.
probably the coolest thing I've done.
Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad that was special for you. I was just nervous because I hadn't performed in front of people in, 17 years. But, yeah.
Yeah. Just like a bike,
Yeah.
you're there. Favorite food and beverage of choice?
I'm a simple guy, Pam. My favorite food would have to be chili. I love chili. It's the most perfect food out there. Proteins. Yeah.
Do you make your own chili?
My wife makes incredible chili at
Okay.
this point, so I don't go near the stove
You
on
just
that
eat
one
it.
now. I used to make my own chili, but it was a standard, way you used to do it. She just does a great job. Favorite, what'd you say, beverage of
Beverage,
choice?
yeah.
Well, it would have to either be Diet Coke or Tito's vodka. Yeah.
I was wondering because you
Yeah.
mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier. That was on your
Yeah.
card. You want to answer that one?
I'd have to say pizza and Diet Pepsi.
There you
Pretty
go.
simple.
Do you have a ritual before a performance?
Yeah, we do.
Uh-oh.
We
Both
do.
laughing.
I don't know where that started. I have a personal ritual before we play, which involves lots of standing in a very steamy shower. But when we get to the venue, we all stand outside of the wherever, and we all do a shot of Jameson's together, and sort of all for one for all kind of thing. And then we hit the stage. So that's that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's your next promoter.
Jameson's?
Jameson,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I should shoot that
Come
too.
on, you
the
were an ad
Tito's
guy. You
vodka
can figure out how to work with this. Do it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Does it help your throat? And
Yeah,
just,
it does.
Does it?
You know, yeah.
Because you got a very deep, just.
It's a sinus thing, you know. You want your sinuses to be clear
Okay.
and all that stuff. And I warm up in the shower. And
That doesn't affect you when you're performing? Just one shot, I guess.
no.
Okay.
Well, they're real big shots, though.
Yeah. Shots are this big now. Yeah. Not really. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'll drink tap water during the show.
Yeah.
I might have another drink during a show, but it's nothing over the line.
I don't think I've ever seen that with very many musicians. Maybe they're hiding it, but I've never.
They're probably hiding.
Okay.
It. Yeah. Trust me on this. Yeah.
All right, one more song here, or one more question, I should say.
Sure.
Do you have a system for writing a song?
No.
Okay. Just comes to you and you.
No,
Got
they
it.
don't. I will. I give each. Well, if it's a system, it's the fact that I give each song enough time to be what it's supposed to be. I very rarely write a tune in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen that way with me, and so I've got to give myself time to figure out what the tune's about, and figure out where I want to take it, and then figure out is the music really supporting the lyrics and that kind of stuff. So.
Do you normally write the lyrics before the music?
It's different
Different
every
every
time. This album was interesting because they came together a lot. So I would get a couplet, a two-line phrase, or I might get a whole verse that happens in my head, but at the same time I'm hearing what the melody might be.
Okay.
Then you have to sit down and work that out and figure out does it really work, or
Yeah.
But no, everything's different, man.
Okay.
Every time, different.
And it just depends how much Tito's you have before each.
I don't like how this interview's gone.
All right, how about another song?
Sure.
I'm sorry,
So-
Jeff. I don't mean to make it sound like that. You're certainly not like that.
I'm totally teasing you. This song is called "Is Winter Here Again," and I thought it might be appropriate for the season. It's the simplest song on the new album.
All right.
We recorded it with a quartet. It's just me and Tony, Dave Hendrickson on bass, and a guy you may know, Jimmy Smith, playing flugelhorn. And I actually wrote it during the summer.
Were you hoping to be cooled down?
It was strange. I was sitting in the backyard, and you know how those little. You'll be outside somewhere, and a little gust of air will go by, and you'll know that the season's changing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That happened.
Okay.
And I just sort of comically said to myself, "Oh, geez, it's winter here again," even though it was 85 degrees out. And this thing ended up writing itself really quick, and it's a ballad. So
right.
I'm proud of the song because it's so simple, and I think it makes a point. So. Let me get my headphones.
Get your headphones on so you can hear
Yeah.
the music. Hear Tony's keyboards.
Yep. Well, I'm not hearing anything. Okay. Here we go. There's winter here again. Summer come and gone. Wasn't it just yesterday that the world was bright and warm? Seasons change, nothing stays the same. Now I know. No one's to blame. People just move on, come and go. Picture all the captured in the fall, but I still called you mine. Seasons change, nothing stays the same. Now I know no one's to blame. People just move on, come and go. Pages turning fast. In the end, nothing seems to last. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Seasons change, nothing stays the same. Now I know no one's to blame. People just move on, come and go. Is winter here again?
Jeff Scott.
Thank you.
Very nice. And that's on the
Thanks.
new album as well?
That's on the new album, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the new album will be out in the
Early
spring.
spring.
Early spring.
2018.
Okay.
Can you believe we're saying that? 2018.
No.
Yeah.
Are there anything else when the you're going to obviously bring this new CD out and you're going to tour? Any other big things happening?
My oldest daughter is at University of Michigan now. I'm very proud about that. So she's funny. She ended up in the same program I was in up there.
Oh, okay. So she's following the music.
She wants to be a writer.
Writer,
Wants to be a
okay.
journalist. So really happy
So she's
about
doing the advertising thing, or thinking of that, going the advertising.
that. No, I don't think she's thinking of the
Okay.
advertising. I think
I
she.
apologize.
It's okay.
Hitting the-
She wants to be a cultural journalist. So
Cultural?
She,
What
yeah,
is
she
that?
wants to write for like Vanity Fair
Okay.
and Vogue and
Okay.
magazines like that. So
Yeah. All right.
really excited about that and
Well, that's good.
getting ready for the holidays. So,
I turned this off and it's not doing it. I'm sorry. My apologies. Well, that's good. So we're some new stuff to look forward to,
Yeah.
and any final words for someone who's thinking I'm going to quit or has quit and wants and not sure about coming back.
I would tell them the same thing that Mark told me. Don't be an idiot. Keep going.
Words to live by, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you never know, and sometimes someone may just need that little push, to go back there and
That's
do
right.
that. So
Hang in there, man.
hey, yes,
Yeah, hang in
don't give up,
there. Don't give up.
and don't put, I mean, did you completely put the guitar away and not play at all?
Totally.
Totally. Okay.
Yeah,
That's tough. That's interesting that you
Yeah.
just completely shut it off.
yeah. It is one of those things, Pam. I'll never quite figure out why I did it, but I did it. So
Well, you know what? We never know why things happen,
Right.
and and of course I always say things happen for a reason. Maybe there was a reason that you needed to take that break
that could be
to help your
that could be.
juices flow when they
Yeah,
are ready.
yeah.
We're ready to come back and do that. So
That's right. And here we are.
Here
Look,
we are.
Still doing it again. So.
all right, what's the for people to find your music
Mm-hmm.
and where you're going to be and all that? What's the best place?
Straight to my website, and that address is jeffscottmusic.com. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, very simple.
Yeah. So
Very simple. And Tony, and you play with Jeff, and
Correct.
do you have other things coming up? Things
I
you do?
substitute with a bunch of different groups. I'm working this weekend with one at the Blue Goose Inn, and
Yeah.
So kind of a session player.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. Well, it's nice that you guys have hooked up and worked together. So
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I think the last time I had Scott, I think you brought the keyboard and it was just you playing the keyboard. Or
No,
no?
no. I
Okay.
remember we
had the whole band.
we had the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
It's okay. It's okay.
I took a break too.
Have you been into the Tito's in the bar over there?
Ooh,
Pam?
yeah, we are
Yeah.
in Hockey Town and second floor up
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's easy to go in the bar. No, no, it has been a pleasure, and congratulations on the new album coming out.
Thank you
So,
very much.
well, that's okay. It won't be out in time to do for the be nominated for the Detroit Music Awards, but
Maybe the following year.
The following year,
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a good thing, and it's more the pop. You said the pop
It's
genre.
Yeah, it's
type of
pop
thing.
jazz.
Pop jazz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So very excited about it, and I'm enjoying playing the tunes, and it's very right for me right now in terms of how I'm hearing music and what I want to get out of it when I perform and things like that. So,
Well, that's in your head. You know what you're going for,
Right.
And even though it's a different sound,
right.
who knows? Maybe the next time we talk, you're going to be take another
No, we'll
turn.
see. Yeah, anything is possible.
You just
yeah.
never know. Yeah,
That's right.
That's the beauty of the music. When you play the music, it's like what you feel like. I mean, and I love it when artists stretch out. Just don't stick in a little groove. I mean, that's never healthy for a musician to grow and to get their music out there. So,
Yeah.
good for you. Just
Thank
took
you.
a little turn and
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
something new, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Well, thank you very
So,
much.
good luck with that,
Yeah.
and let me know when that comes out. So,
Will do. I will
Yeah.
make sure you know. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate the invitation today. This has
Sure.
been great. Incredible venue and facility you guys have
It
here.
is.
And
yeah, and by the way, if for any musicians out there listening, feel free to touch base with me. I need someone every week, so bookings.
we'll have Dwayne on here. Have Dwayne on.
Yes, absolutely.
That'll be great.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, Jeff Scott. Thank you so much, and Tony, playing with him. So thanks for coming in and being
Thank
my
you.
guest this week. Again, we are at MusicTown, and thank you to Michigan State University Community School of Detroit and Children's Hospital Michigan Foundation for supporting us here in the beautiful MusicTown, downtown Detroit. I'm Pam Rossi, behind the mic. Have a great week.